Hey everyone, welcome to the 22nd XCOM 2 challenge run on my channel. Now this is the second episode in a series where we're looking at the Long War 2 classes, and today we've got Grenadiers. And I will just quickly address it right away. You might notice the footage doesn't look quite as good as usual in some parts of the video. There were multiple instances where my computer crashed and I lost the footage that I was recording locally, so I'm having to use stream footage for some parts of the video. Hopefully you don't mind too much. And honestly, let that set the tone for what's going to come in this run. A campaign that is so dirty, cheap, and rancid that my computer would literally rather Minecraft itself than have to endure the game's nonsense. Yeah, if you thought the original Grenadier only run was a joke, you're in for a treat today. Okay, so the rules. We're playing on Commander difficulty, we're playing on Honest Man, so we're only reloading in the events of misclicks or glitches, and we're only using the Long War 2 Grenadier class in combat. So what makes this run so bad? Well, you'll see. But initially, a big problem we have is that Long War 2 Grenadiers don't have a cannon. They use a regular assault rifle as their primary weapon, and that's going to deal less damage, plus we don't have Shred as a low-level ability. So these guys aren't nearly as good as vanilla Grenadiers, at least not initially. And secondly, check this out. Drifter runs along a concrete wall and somehow Advent spots him. This is the first mission, by the way, of the campaign, and we're already getting line of sight shenanigans. And while I was busy complaining about this on stream, the answer is suddenly revealed to us. Yeah, of course, the giant statue was actually invisible all along. It all makes sense now. But anyway, Old Man, and yes, that is his name, Old Man, scores a clutch 4 damage with his grenade to finish off the last trooper, and that was the difference maker in us potentially losing a soldier and having a flawless outing. So Old Man is the VIP. I have full faith in this guy. On the strategic layer, we score an extra engineer nearly straight away thanks to a scanning reward, and it's always really great to get this so early in the game. Now the second mission is pretty uneventful, but the third mission, that's where the real fun begins. See, the original Grenadier only run is what made Leeson a meme on this channel, so of course I had to bring him back for this one. And let's just say, he's up to his old tricks once again. So this is a Horde mission where we need to save the VIP from the wannabe zombies. Old Man kicks things off by mowing down the first 2 Lost we encounter, so things are off to a good start, but now it's Leeson's turn to shoot at some Lost. Well, here we go. Oh, okay, he actually hit. And he hit again. Very nice. But see, this Lost here, well, this is where the mission is going to turn for the worse. Leeson misses, but that's no big deal. Statistically speaking, he should have hit about 2 out of those 3 shots that he made, so it's all good. We'll just send Storyline in to have a crack, and he misses too. Then we've got Minix, who also misses. This Lost is dodging bullets like he was Neo. From the original Matrix, I mean, not that Dumpster Fire 2021 version, no. So meanwhile, we've got another Lost flanking us from the side. Minix takes an 81%. And she misses. Storyline tries for an 84 and he also misses. And as for Neo, well, I move Leeson in to regain line of sight and we activate more Lost while also failing to regain line of sight on Neo. So that went really well. That wasn't a total waste of time that just made things worse whatsoever. Now Old Man has the high ground and he's thankfully able to take out that flanking Lost with a 95% shot. I send him into the store since I saw Neo in there, and look, you can see where he's standing, just behind the scanner at the door, and then you can see him disappear from our line of sight. Like, what even is this? We can't see through that gigantic gap in the scanner, and compare that to the first mission where Advent can see through solid objects like a gigantic statue. But we can't see through this thing. This is ridiculous. So I decide, you know what, this is a Grenadiers run. We don't need line of sight. So yeah, Neo isn't dodging bullets or hiding behind invisible structures anymore. And I was pretty impressed with myself for defeating the game's nonsense. Until this happens not too much later. What is this? What? Bros. Yeah, okay. There's only like 1 million of them. I'm sure we can deal with them just fine. Holy moly, what a bunch of nonsense. And I don't even want to talk about this. I think I'm just going to roll out the clown music. And just remember, every time we miss a shot, the next shot gets an aim bonus of 15% up to a maximum of 95. Yeah, just keep that in mind as you bear witness to the events that are about to unfold. So yeah, apparently we're playing Pokemon now, where if the accuracy of an attack isn't 100%, it might as well be 10%. Now I'm faced with a dilemma here. Do I run away with Lee Sin, or do I take out these two Lost? I'm worried the Dasher could catch him, and he only has 1 HP left, so we can't withstand another attack. I decide Lee Sin is gonna have to stand his ground. What could possibly go wrong? Well, he hits the first 88% shot, so that's good. But the second one is, of course, a miss. This is Lee Sin we're talking about after all, so we can't seem too surprised. So it seems our boy Niam is not long for this world, unless that Lost misses him, which it does. Nice, Lee Sin lives. Now, I could run away with Lee Sin here, but I decide, no, he needs to make this shot. If he cannot make an 88% shot, then he really doesn't deserve to be on the team. So Lee Sin takes aim, and... yeah, of course that's how it was going to go. The probability of missing 2 88% shots in a row is 1.44% for the record. And again, that's not including any aim bonuses. So on the Lost's turn, Lee Sin finally succumbs to the beasts. And you know what? I can't say I'm sad about this. He and this entire incompetent team really made sure to secure defeat out of the jaws of victory on this one. And look at the game telling us this mission was good. I'm gonna have to disagree with that one. Now we do get our first promotions here. The Boomer Tree is about not understanding technology very well and ruining the world for future generations with ungodly amounts of government debt and spending. The Boomer Tree is focused on doing damage with grenades. Our first perk there is Sapper, which increases the environmental damage of our explodey boys. This is a really helpful ability. The Versatile Tree focuses on the rifle and other kind of random abilities. The first one is Needle Grenades, which prevents explosive kills from destroying loot. And honestly, this seems pretty bad unless you give it to your whole team, which has its own problems as well. I mean, it's not like you know which enemy is carrying the loot on any given mission, so it's impossible to use this perk effectively unless every soldier has it. So it's pretty mediocre in my opinion. And the final tree is the Support branch, which is all about using non-damaging grenades. Flashbangs, the Frost Bomb, etc. The first ability is Rapid Deployment, which allows us to use a non-damaging grenade as a free action. It has a 3-turn cooldown, but this is pretty good for the early game. And so with the mission done, we say farewell to our boy Lee Sin. I guess the meme dies early in this run. Unless... yeah, you didn't really think we could get rid of Lee Sin that easily, did you? Thanks to the recruitment pool double up glitch, he's back. And I just imagine the rest of the team was returning on the Sky Ranger. They're all mournful and sad about losing Lee Sin. Then when they get back to the Avenger, he's just there, waiting for them, like a Looney Tunes cartoon, or a horror movie. Alright, so time for the first retaliation mission. Surely this can't go any worse than the last one, right? Well, I won't cut to the laughter track again, but the short answer is yes. Yes, it can. The assassin shows up as our first chosen, and that always sucks. She's always annoying in the early game. And she has Revenge and Shadow Step, which are both horrific, but her weakness does work in our favour. It works in our favour quite a bit. I move up the side of the map to avoid being surrounded, but you'll see very shortly that we get surrounded anyway. Now I leave plot armor out of cover. I figure getting the flanking shot is worth the risk. Yeah, it wasn't worth the risk. We are still able to eliminate the trooper, but the sectoid decides to fire at our exposed boy. Now plot armor survives, as you'd expect. He is plot armor after all, but he only has 1 HP. And to make matters worse, a Faceless activates and the assassin one-shots Whistle Pig, so he's bleeding out in the dirt. Goodness me, this got real bad real fast. The assassin and the sectoid are thankfully grouped close enough together that we can hit both with our grenades, but the assassin survives on 2 HP. Now she doesn't attack us, but the Faceless has made it into
close range.
And we've activated another pod. So thanks to some Twitch chat wisdom, I decide it's time to evac. It's not worth losing our troops here, so a tactical retreat is our best bet. We have our first council report, and one of the resistance orders increases our excavation speed by 50%. Now given we have 2 engineers already, and we can scan at Skirmisher HQ to make that excavation speed even faster, I decide we're gonna do a little bit of an excavation speed run.
'Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes.
On the next guerrilla op, we encounter a stun lancer and a sectoid at the end of the mission. The lancer is in full cover and we're pretty much out of grenades by this point. We do have a flashbang, so I use that to slow the lancer down. Now the sectoid panics Mimic Beacon. That's the soldier's name, not an actual Mimic Beacon, because that would make no sense. It's a hologram. But anyway, the lancer takes a shot at Minix but thankfully misses. And we try for a 74% shot on the Lance with Poggers, but of course we miss. I really didn't expect anything less, so I decide just to focus on the sectoid, since we're not felling the Lancer this turn no matter what. Well, Old Man rolls big damage and takes out the sectoid. This releases Mimic Beacon from her panic, and she's able to flank the Stunny Boy. And she rolls a gigantic 7 damage crit to one-shot it. So I guess we are finishing the Lancer this turn after all. That was wild. Soon we have our first Sergeant thanks to a covert op reward. Heavy Ordnance allows us to carry an extra charge of any damaging grenade in the grenade only slot. Center Mass makes the rifle deal +1 additional damage, that's not too bad. And Protector works the same as Heavy Ordnance but for any non-damaging grenade. On the next mission, you can see the effect of Sapper as we launch this grenade. It completely obliterates the walls of the sewer. This is really good. I move Old Man to flank the captain, and that activates a sectoid, purifier, and second mech. So this is looking pretty bad. Now thankfully Storyline can not only use the Frost Bomb as a free action, but he has 2 charges of it. So I freeze the second mech, but the first one I decide I'm just going to risk the 85% shot. Given the run so far, this is a pretty dreadful idea, but he does actually pull it off, so that's really good. The sectoid raises a zombie and the purifier surrounds Old Man in flames, but he doesn't actually hit him with the flamethrower. So not sure how that works, but we'll go with it. We mop up the pod using the second Frost Bomb on the next turn to keep the mech in place until we can finish it off. And somehow we made it through that without taking any damage. I'm genuinely shocked. That seemed really bad. And once we've made it to the VIP, we have to hold off reinforcements for a few turns, and the environment here makes things quite difficult. The roof we're on barely has any cover, meanwhile there's more full cover than Advent knows what to do with on the ground level. So they've kind of got the advantage even though we have the high ground. But despite this, we still take no damage. The worst of it is storyline getting disoriented by a sectoid, but we can deal with that, it's nothing too bad. So we do get a flawless victory here, but that really doesn't reflect just how much danger we were in on this one. We got really lucky. But don't worry, that luck is not going to last. So another promotion due to a covert op, and we can choose between boosted cores, which increases our grenade damage by 1, that's always good. Formidable gives us 2 points of ablative HP, as well as 50% damage reduction from explosions. And blue screen bombs allows our flashbangs to disorient mechanical foes. So these are some really good abilities here. Now the next guerrilla op has the Savage sitrep, which means a whole lot of faceless for us. This is really good. Since we missed out on a faceless corpse on the Haven mission, we can get some now. So anyway, 2 pods are clustered together, so of course I'm gonna hit them with the frost bomb, and then they're pretty much just ours for the taking. Fish in a barrel type of thing. But there is no third pod, instead the assassin has arrived. And this is really bad. See, I brought loads of flashbangs to deal with the faceless, and this meant taking less frag grenades, so we're really not able to capitalize on her weakness to explosions. Now the trooper she summons in, we can deal with that pretty easily, but the assassin herself is gonna be difficult. So here, I think we have a good strategy. Mimic Beacon has Sapper, so we annihilate the assassin's cover, and then we start shooting at her. And it's here I realise a little bit of a miscalculation in my plan. See, because we're using Grenadiers, their aim isn't very high, and of course we're going to miss with some of our shots. And I've actually forgotten that the assassin has revenge, so every time we miss a shot, she gets to shoot at us. So Glass Cannon gets blasted in the face and she's bleeding out. Now that's pretty appropriate, I guess, given the name. But see, having used so many nades on the faceless, there's not a lot of cover on this map. So our legally blind Grenadiers are just forced to stand out in the open, facing the very high probability of missing their shot and having some return fire sent their way. And we do take quite a few hits, but once again Mimic Beacon makes a clutch shot with a high damage roll and wins us the battle. No losses, but quite a few injuries. That could have gone way worse. I decide it's time to build an infirmary. We really need it. Now the good news is that for the next retaliation mission, we have a massive power spike. We've got mag weapons, plated armor, and our first Mimic Beacon. Not to mention there should be at least 1 Muton on this mission, so if we can win here, plasma grenades are coming our way. And sure enough, there he is, let's get him. So he goes down easily enough, and then something really bizarre happens here. See, this is Lee Sin's first mission since his resurrection/return, and the Resistance fighters start off as reasonably effective at making their shots, but as soon as Lee Sin just gets close to them, they start missing everything. It's like he stepped up his game since the first Grenadier run. Not only is he going to miss those 97% shots, he's going to make sure everyone else does too. Then we have a guerrilla op, and the game really dials up the nonsense here. First, this pod activates and there's a snack that's way too far away for us to deal with. And I'm really limited in my offense here because any grenade we use is going to cause the Lost to spawn in faster. Yeah, they're on this mission. So do I take a really low percentage shot that we're definitely going to miss anyway? Or do I use a grenade and attract more Lost? It's a lose-lose. And to make matters worse, a second pod activates. This one has a mech. Also, I think I've spread my troops out far enough to avoid a poison spit from the Viper, but it turns out I'm wrong, and Nemris, who is our most accurate trooper with the rifle, gets poisoned. So that's our most effective soldier that's now totally handicapped. Now despite this, Nemris is able to one-shot the mech. His rifle is doing +3 damage thanks to his soldier abilities, so he's a pretty good guy to have. Then we spend most of the rest of the turn taking down Lost, since there's just so many of them. We are getting swarmed here. Now this leaves a sectoid alive who mind controls Whistlepig. And the big problem here is I was planning on dropping Whistle off the roof and ganking that captain that he's close to on our turn. I can't do that now, and this is a really big spanner in the works. We land a grenade on the sectoid, but this of course summons in even more Lost. So now not only do we have to worry about taking them out, but I really don't want to use any more grenades, since that'll just cause the same thing to happen all over again. So really don't know what to do here. And anyway, long story short, Whistlepig ends up sending Devon, our own man, to the Shadow Realm. That's pretty messed up. Now on our next turn, we're able to destroy the sector pod and free Whistle, so we can stop him from murdering any more of our troops. That's nice. And we end up taking down the last of the enemies, and the mission is a success, but it came at an enormous cost. And look at this, 60 enemies slain. So yeah, looks like the Lost are going to be a big problem on this run. I mean, it's not really surprising when you think about it, I guess, but nevertheless, it's a problem all the same. And I did check, but there's unfortunately no Devon clone in the recruitment pool, so he's not getting the Leeson treatment. He's gone. That sucks. Soon we have our first captain, and we can choose between heat warheads, which increases our grenade shred, as well as letting them pierce 2 points of armor. We also have dense smoke, which gives smoke grenades plus 10 defense, and there's also shred, which works the same as the base game. Now I think in the actual Long War 2 mod, the shred ability is replaced with one that allows grenades to do full damage over their entire area of effect, but because grenades already do that in the regular game, the mod author changed this ability. So if you see any skills that differ from the Long War 2 mod, it's probably just because the author made a deliberate change. And I, for one, am super happy about this. Shred is a brilliant ability, so I'm always happy to see it available. And then almost straight away, we have our first major. The Covert Ops are being super generous with the promotions this run. We have Biggest Booms, which gives our grenades a chance to crit. Chain Shot, which is the same as vanilla, except the aim penalty is only 10 instead of 15. And then there's Sting Grenades, which gives our flashbangs a 50% chance of stunning enemies. That's pretty good. Because Glass Cannon here has some hidden abilities that give her an extra smoke grenade and flashbang, I decide we're going to retrain her in the support tree. It means we can't use her for a few days, but we'll get much better value from her in the long run. We soon contacted the Hunter's region. His strengths are Regeneration, Kinetic Plating, and Beastmaster, and that last one may mean extra Mimic Beacons for us. His weakness is Bewildered, so nothing amazing here, but nothing too scary either. Normally Kinetic Plating can be bad, but given how many grenades that we're going to have every mission, we can just use those and hopefully avoid having to miss any shots. And by the time we engage him on the battlefield, we're now rocking plasma grenades. And for the troops who have Sapper, which is most of them, they can destroy just about any piece of cover in a single blast. It is really a glorious thing to behold. Now, I did actually think I had purchased the advanced grenade launcher at the same time we got plasma grenades, but it turns out I only thought I had done that, not that I actually had. So I'll let you know in the video when I finally realise my mistake and that I'm still using the base version of the launcher and I finally go and buy the new one. And spoiler alert, it's going to be a while before that happens. So anyway, the Hunter grapples onto the roof, which I initially laugh at him for since we can just blow him up and inflict huge damage on top of fall damage. But doing this sends him into the building below and out of our line of sight, so we didn't really get him as much as I would have liked. And he soon returns with a vengeance, hitting huge damage on Max. It's not technically a one-shot, but the blood loss causes Max to faint instantly, so it might as well have been a one-shot. Poggers carries Max to the evac zone while the rest of the squad bombards the Hunter with grenades and gunfire. We take him down easily enough and we're able to evac everyone out before Max passes away. So we did take some damage, but everyone is alive to tell the tale. This one wasn't too bad. Then it's time for the black site. We haven't made much story progress so far, so it's time to change that. Now I have equipped a single battle scanner to help locate the assassin. I would have brought more than one, but we don't have the supplies for it right now, so it kinda sucks to be us. And if you're paying close attention, you may notice that I have equipped the Skulljack on this mission, but I'm not going to use it on the first pod, even though there is a captain there. I have it equipped just because there's a free utility slot that we're not using, so I might as well equip it. You never know, maybe one-shotting a captain will get us out of a jam, but if I can help it, I'd rather avoid having codexes spawn until after we've completed blue screen protocol research. But anyway, getting back to the battle scanner, it turns out one is all that we need. See, the assassin makes a really bad play by moving through this door, and the fact that it opens during her turn gives away her position. I lobbed the battle scanner and we've now got her in our sights. And the reason the assassin is generally the most annoying of the chosen to deal with is because she sneaks up on you. Generally, if she's on the field, she's gonna be able to hit you at least once, and there's not too much you can do to stop it. But when we get the drop on her, well, it's a bit of a beatdown, as you can see. And the rest of the mission is very straightforward, so no real problems with this one. It went quite well. And soon we get a covert op that'll give us 3 weapon mods on our rifles. That's gonna be very helpful. And what's also gonna be helpful is having our first kernel. We have Salvo, which is the same as vanilla, Bombardier, which allows us to launch our grenades an extra 2 tiles. Now that one honestly doesn't sound all that good. And Volatile Mix increases our grenades AoE by 1 tile, so that could be quite nice, especially with something like the Frost Bomb. And that promotion has come just in time, as we've got the base defense up now. And like all my videos lately, it's the King of the Hill map for this one. I really need to uninstall that map mod. Now by this time we do indeed have blue screen protocol, so some of our gunners are rocking blue screen rounds, and the man himself, Leeson, has an EMP bomb. So yeah, it's time to Skulljack, no reason not to. So the codex appears and Nemrus one-shots it like it was nothing. And yes, that's the benefit of waiting for blue screen protocol. We can one-shot these codexes, we don't need to worry about clones. And the rest of the mission, once again, goes off without a hitch. It takes ages as more enemies are constantly being dropped in, but it's never very difficult, and mimic beacons are especially helpful when we're retreating back to the Avenger. Now the bigger issue is that mission has left the majority of our squad exhausted, so for the next guerrilla op we've only got 4 soldiers combat ready, and of those 4, 3 of them are sergeant level or below. But that's not all, it gets even worse. Look at the enemy count on this mission. Now it's quite low, and that's normally a good tell that either a chosen or alien ruler is going to show up. So I'm fully expecting the hunter to appear on this one. But see, even that's not all. 2 of our troops have fear of the chosen as a negative trait. So not only is the hunter gonna arrive, half our squad is probably going to panic when he does. So yes, this mission is going to be an interesting one. Now Salty and Task Manager can form a bond, so I decide to do that. We're going to need all the help we can get here. Now the plan here is not to win, it's just to fulfill the primary objective to stop the Dark event, and then we're going to evac out. And yes, it turns out I was right, here comes the hunter, but mercifully, and very surprisingly, neither Task Manager nor Q panic, so that's pretty good. Our good fortune, however, is short-lived as we activate 2 pods at once, one of them housing the field commander that we've been sent to eliminate. So I use Mimic Beacon to deploy a Mimic Beacon. Now this has the benefit of not only keeping Advent off us, but the Purifier lights his own priest on fire. I always love when that happens. Now generally the aim stat of these Grenadiers is pretty bad, especially when they're at such low levels, so I opt for grenades against the commander. We're able to frost bomb a couple of enemies and use a Mimic Beacon, But yeah, after 2 turns, of the 4 enemies that we're facing, we haven't been able to take out a single one. This is not a good situation to be in. Now on the 3rd turn, all the damage that we've been inflicting finally starts producing some results, and we're able to finish everything except for the priest. Now it mind controls Mimic Beacon, but it only has 2 HP left, so it's really not a big deal. We can finish this thing off and be on our way. And so with the commander and his stooges gone, we're free to take our time with the rest of the mission. We could evac out, and I know that's what I said I was going to do, but our troops have actually been doing really well, so I decide we're going to push our luck. Let's see if we can win this one. What could possibly go wrong? And to be honest, I am surprised that the hunter hasn't caught up to us after all this time. See, it turns out he spawned on this little platform that is isolated from the rest of the level, and it seems he can't grapple off it, so he's just stuck there. Now, Mimic Beacon does take a big hit from his rifle, and she's reduced to 1 HP, but see, the really good thing is, because he can't reposition, we can just move to a spot where he can't see us, and then we can heal up. Then we sneak around the wall in order to stay out of line of sight until we're right on top of him, and we can hopefully get some good shots off. Now he is able to hit Mimic Beacon again, and again she's reduced to 1 HP. She's really living up to her name here. Anyway, we start throwing grenades and gunfire at him, but he survives with 1 HP himself, and then... wait, what's he doing? What is he doing? Yeah, it turns out he can grapple off the platform after all. Now maybe it was because we destroyed the cover that was blocking him in. I don't know, but either way, he has just dazed 3/4 of our team. And the real problem here is that he regenerates HP every turn. So the longer it takes for us to finish him, the more the battle is going to turn in his favour. He's just going to keep getting more and more health. And we're also out of damaging grenades, and if we shoot at him and miss, he's going to generate kinetic shielding. This situation went from a guaranteed victory to being absolutely terrible for us. But then something happens. The hunter's hatred of Mimic Beacon literally costs him the fight. He leaves the high ground where he had full cover to get a flanking shot on Mimic Beacon, and he sends her into bleed out. But see, by doing this, it leaves him vulnerable to a flanking shot from us. So we've well and truly baited him out here. Mimic Beacon is really living up to her namesake on this mission. So we move in with Task Manager, we line up that 91% shot, and...
not even close!
Yeah, I haven't used that one in a while, but it perfectly captures how I felt here. So annoying. So Q can take a shot, and thankfully he's able to hit the side of a barn, but the hunter's kinetic plating means he survives on 1 HP again. So now it's up to Salty with the 93% shot. Can he do it? Oh, thank goodness. Yes, he can. Okay. However, the mission isn't over yet. See, the hunter spawned a Faceless, which thankfully is still stuck on that platform. Now, we did bring its health quite low, but since Faceless regen HP every turn as well, it's had plenty of time to recover. So since Task Manager is legally blind, I decide we'll use him to evac Mimic Beacon before she perishes. Q and Salty are then able to safely finish off the Faceless. There's literally nothing it can do to hurt us. It can't get close enough to attack. And there you go. Our squad of 4 actually pulled it off, if only barely. So once the high level troops are healthy again, we set out on the Forge mission because, you know, I'm just so excited to see the hunter again. Now naturally we meet our first sector pod on this one, but when you have chain shot, shred, and blue screen rounds, a sector pod really isn't that bad, so it doesn't stick around for very long. And as for the hunter, Well, he's not going against a small, low-leveled squad this time. He's going against 6 high-level monsters. So we scorch him and the earth surrounding him before he can really do anything. He really wasn't a big problem at all, which makes for a nice change of pace after that last mission. So we continue on, and it's here I notice something that kinda sucks. Boosted cores only give our grenades +1 damage, not the +2 that our vanilla grenadiers would be able to access. Now 1 damage may not sound like much, but when it comes to an EMP bomb, instead of doing 12 damage, which could one-shot a codex, it's only doing 11 damage, which will leave the codex on 1 HP and let it teleport away. And I have to say, these LW2 Grenadiers seem like quite a step down from the vanilla ones. And we do get a little caught out here, mainly because I forgot that opening the pod with the dummy in it calls in the reinforcements straight away. For some reason I was thinking the reinforcements only come once you pick up the body, but that's not how it works. I know, it's a rookie mistake. What can I say? I've been playing a lot of Phoenix Point lately, so I'm a little bit rusty on XCOM. I apologise. Anyway, the point is, we're too far away from the evac zone and we're going to have to deal with these reinforcements. We can't just run away in one turn. And so when I say deal with them, I mean we're going to throw down some meme beacons while we run away like cowards over a couple of turns. And hey, if it wins us the battle, I'm happy to do it. There is no shame in this video. Now I have been avoiding the Warlock deliberately, but the time has finally come to enter his territory. We can only delay for so long. His strengths are Soul Stealer, Watchful, and Mech Lord. And his weakness is Brittle. So these are honestly not great for us, but we'll see how we go. And now, my friends, allow me to show you a truly galactic-brained play by yours truly. See, Plot Armor has the Mimic Beacon, but I decide we're not going to use it on the Andromedon. Nah, that's a waste. Instead, I'll have Plot Armor shoot one of the devices to buy us an extra turn on the timer. I mean, we only have 4 turns already, so obviously we are in desperate need of another, and we have to attack this thing right now. I'm being sarcastic for the record. So I figure we'll just frost bomb the Andromedon, we can deal with it that way. But see, the problem is, I didn't check that the frost bomb would actually reach the Andromedon. Now, if we had advanced grenade launchers, I think it would reach, but I still haven't done that yet. And I could flashbang the bulky boy, but anyone who watched my Christmas video knows that that would be a gigantic waste of time. Now, what I could have done was used rapid deployment to move again, get closer, and then still be able to launch a grenade, but I didn't know I could do that at the time. So what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna spread out so he doesn't acid bomb us. Yeah, it's a pretty pathetic strategy, but it's the best that I have right now. And thankfully, we don't get punished too badly. The Andromedon goes for a punch, but Poggers thankfully survives. However, things start going downhill pretty quickly after that. The shield bearer does his thing, and now the Andromedon has a shield, plus the Warlock turns up to mindfray our poor Poggy boy. Oh, and we've got reinforcements coming in next turn. This just keeps getting better and better. And as bad as things may look right now, I assure you, they're going to get a lot worse. See, we frostbomb the Andromedon, finally, and we send the shield bearer to join the careers of the Forspoken developers, i.e. never to be seen again. But then the reinforcements come, and Skullet Man mind controls Minix. She's our best soldier on this one since her gun does extra damage. Now, frost bombs aren't all that good on Chosen, but they will break mind control, so Minix is back on our side just like that. But my goodness, do we have a lot of high HP enemies here. Just look at this. So the first thing we need to do is remove the heavy mech's Overwatch. A 96% shot with Minix, and you've gotta be kidding me. So much for Minix being the best. She's the worst. Thankfully, an EMP bomb can't miss, and their heavy is shut down. Cool. Alright, so next shot is a 95% with Poggers, and what is going on here? This is just ridiculous. So the Andromedon could potentially one-shot a mine beacon if it crits, so I decide we need to use 2 of them. And then 2 of our soldiers get dazed from Mind Scorch. So this is going really well. We're burning through resources and our soldiers are getting trounced. So on the next turn, a second EMP finishes both mechs off, and we do have one last beacon left, so we might actually still be okay, and the team is finally able to hit the side of a barn and the remaining regular enemies go down. It's just us and the Warlock now. Oh wait, never mind, he summons in another heavy mech. Oh, and he summons in some Spectral Stun Lancers too. This is the mission that just keeps on giving, I have to say. The only problem is, what it's giving is unadulterated pain and misery. And if you were wondering if flashbangs work on Spectral Lancers, well, they actually do, so there you go. And it seems to jank their AI as they just run around pointlessly and don't attack. Not sure what's going on there, but I'm gonna take it. And so after another turn, now finally all the regular enemies are gone and we can focus on the Warlock. It's taken an age, but he eventually goes down. That mission was insane. I did not enjoy that one at all. And speaking of things that I don't enjoy, we have an ambush mission next. And you better believe Drifter misses an 85% shot on this one. Yeah, we are just getting the best RNG ever here. So I take it slow and steady, and after 21 turns, both our operatives evac safely. Yeah, 21 turns. Ambush missions really are the worst. Wait, scratch that. Ambush missions are the second worst. This is the worst. Yeah, I had been rushing covert ops to try and take the Chosen down before any of them got this immunity, but it seems I was too slow. I mean, you saw how that mission with the Warlock just now went. Imagine that on top of our grenades not doing anything to him. This could be very, very bad. And you remember how I also said that the Lost could be really bad this run? Yeah, well, in another big-brained decision, I opt to use the Skulljack on a Codex during a Lost mission. Yeah, this is going to end really well. So, to start off, we activate a Sector Pod and the Avatar at the same time, and as if that wasn't enough, I move out with Crosseye and we activate another pod, this one with a heavy mech. We blow up the Avatar and this causes a Lost pod to spawn in, and this is honestly a good thing right now, as the Lost are pretty much going to act as free mimic beacons for us. And in terms of why I decided to Skulljack on this mission, I had been meaning to do it for a while, but I kept forgetting, so when I saw the codexes, I just wanted to take the opportunity while I remembered. Yeah, Senile Drifter has it pretty hard sometimes. So Minix has an 84% shot to finish the Avatar, but I know better than to take it. We're going to use a grenade for the guaranteed damage instead, and the Avatar is disposed of. Cool. We've still got all that other stuff to deal with, of course. Now, between the Lost and 2 Mimic Beacons, we make it through the enemy turn only taking a single attack from one of the Lost. So that's really good. But see, here's the thing. We've still got a Sector Pod, heavy mech, 2 codexes, and I don't even know how many Advent soldiers that are still active. So let's see what we can do. We kick things off with a chain shot from Minix, and look at the absurd damage she does here. The Sector Pod goes from 5 armor and 32 HP to no armor and 6 HP. Maybe we don't have to be so worried after all. So destroying the Sector Pod causes a secondary explosion which draws in even more Lost. After taking out the mech, I decide we're going to relocate everyone to high ground. That'll keep us safe from the Lost, and the last of our mean beacons will keep us safe from the remaining Advent forces. And it does take a while, but eventually we mow through all the bad guys. I was worried about this one, but it really turned out to be not that bad. And soon we have a promotion to our first Brigadier. We can choose Saturation Fire, which works the same as Vanilla, Full Kit, which gives +1 use of any grenade in a non-grenade only utility slot, and Ghost Grenade, which allows us to place another soldier into concealment. We can only use that one once per mission. And we've got this Brigadier just in time for our first chosen base assault. We're going after the Warlock first. Now this might seem like a strange choice since he's going to be the most difficult to deal with, but that's why I want to take him out quickly. Due to his explosive immunity, I really don't want this guy showing up on a random mission, so we're better off sending in our best troops and let's deal with him right now. We get through the first area quite easily, so I won't bother recapping that. Let's just jump straight to the main event. And inside the final chamber is an Andromedon and a Purifier. And check out how Nemris deals with the Andromedon. Just smokes it with a single chain shot. Needless to say, the Purifier doesn't fare much better. So as the Warlock arrives, regular viewers will know what we're going to do here. A grenade, even though it doesn't damage his HP, will blow up his cover and shred his armor. He's then easy pickings for a big chain shot from Minix that takes half his health with a single action. And the rest of the team continues the onslaught and the Warlock goes down before he can do anything. Glass Cannon gets to shoot at the sarcophagus twice thanks to a hair trigger, so that's pretty cool. And we go with the usual strat. We want to destroy the sarcophagus as quick as we can, and we're going to distract the reinforcements with a mine beacon. Just the usual stuff here. Now upon the Warlock's return, he's in full cover and on Overwatch, and that's pretty annoying. So Drifter runs the Overwatch and he does get hit, but his shield points give him some extra protection so he doesn't take that much damage. And check this out, the Warlock spawned in with half health, but because of Soul Stealer, his HP is almost completely regenerated. Soul Stealer actually gives the Chosen health back on damage against mine beacons, which is really dumb, but that's how it works, so this is annoying. Between the full cover and the regained HP, I figure we're not taking Talkie Boy down this turn, so I instead focus on the minor enemies. We eliminate the Andromedon and we freeze the captain. We also use the second charge of the Frost Bomb on the Warlock. This will deduct one action point from him and stop him running away too far. And he decides he's going to summon in 2 heavy mechs and daze 2 of our troops with Mind Scorch. You know, having him move away doesn't seem like that big of a deal in retrospect. Now the mechs are on Overwatch, but thankfully Glass Cannon's flashbangs can affect robotic enemies, so that Overwatch is gone. Now the Warlock still has his, but thankfully he misses Nemris, and then once Whistle Pig has been revived, he does massive damage on the mechs with his EMP bomb. One of them is shut down, and Drifter can finish the second one off. On the enemy turn, the captain attacks another mine beacon, which of course brings the Warlock back to full health. Man, this is really obnoxious the way these guys are regenning HP this run. So he mind controls Glass Cannon, and that's honestly pretty terrible, but at least she has used all of her frost bombs, so that means she can't use them against us. And then, in a fitting twist, we repeat the strat from the very start of the encounter. Whistle Pig destroys the Warlock's cover, and Minix lands a huge chain shot to take him under half health. The rest of the squad then joins in on the fun, and after a surprisingly tricky fight, the Warlock has been bested. He's gone. So while it's good we don't have to worry about the Skullet Disciple anymore, we get some bad news as a Guerrilla Op spawns straight after. A lot of our soldiers are tired after that one, but hopefully the lower level troops can handle it. And even though there's a gatekeeper on the mission, I think that's the first one of the campaign, they do indeed handle it. We then get a covert op for +1 damage to our beam weapons. That's on top of getting +1 damage on our assault rifles, so this should be quite helpful. And even when the next council mission spawns, most of our troops from the Warlock's base mission are still tired. It really took it out of them. But before we deploy on this mission, I have to give a shout out to the people in the comments section on the Drifters Archives channel. Remember how I said I'd tell you when I finally remembered to upgrade the grenade launcher? Well, it happens right here, and only because of the good people in the comments of the VOD. I appreciate you guys. And what can I say? I genuinely thought I had already upgraded it, but I hadn't, so this was quite the oversight on my part. And while we're here, I buy the plasma boltcaster and I give it to Leeson, mostly just for the memes. Will he be able to hit a single enemy with this deadly weapon? Well, actually yes, he will. And even though some of the Lost missions have been really tough on this run, this one thankfully is not. See, because we're on the high ground in a building, we can just launch as many grenades as we need to. And if that brings in more Lost, well, that actually works in our favour. The Lost can't reach us very easily, and they serve as good mimic beacons to distract Advent away from our troops. And I've got a couple of things that I want to show you on this one. Firstly, check this out. Even though Lost usually won't attack a mimic beacon, we're still able to throw one onto this balcony, cutting off their only means of reaching us. These Lost boys can't pass through a hologram, it seems. So the meme beacon is once again keeping us safe. It can be used just like a soldier, blocking the Lost's path to reach us. I've found yet another use for this amazing item, and I gotta say, I was pretty chuffed with myself when I did this. And the other thing I want to show you is this one. Now this is one of those missions where you get extra soldiers if you make contact with them in the field, and Not Sus here, before we activate her, actually benefits from the shield bearer's shield. I didn't know that was a thing, and I have to say, it seems pretty sus to me. So yeah, we're dismissing her as soon as we're back at the base. Thanks, but no thanks. And once our top troops are ready for combat, we deploy on the Psionic Gate mission. Nemrus has the Warlock's rifle now, which should be a nice little power boost for us, and the strat for this one is... well, how do I say this? See, sometimes on this channel we joke about using human mimic beacons, but on this mission, it's not a joke. The strat is to simply send a mimic beacon here onto the front line and draw out those chrysalids. Now hear me out, she does have a few things working in her favour. She's picked up an ability that gives her plus 25 dodge against attacks made within 4 tiles. We've also given her a medikit to protect against chrysalid poison, as well as a warsuit for extra armour. And we've retrained her as a gunner in the training centre, so she has the ablative HP buff as well. Combine that with a smoke grenade, and she's hopefully going to be taking minimal damage from those lids. And we've also given her a shotgun so that her attacks at
Close range
are pretty powerful. In addition to that, we also have the strat that I only discovered recently, where a meme beacon, an actual one, not a soldier named mimic beacon, can draw out all nearby chrysalids from underground. So just throw it down, put your troops on Overwatch, and observe the devastation. You've then got a full turn to deal with any of the survivors. Have I mentioned I love meme beacons? Because I really love meme beacons. Anyway, we activate the Gatekeeper too early, but once again, a meme beacon can save the day and distract it. A pot of chrysalids also activates at the same time, and I was a bit worried here. We've got quite a few enemies to deal with all at once. But then we use Chain Shot with Nemrus, and I quickly realise there is nothing to be worried about here. So yeah, this one is in the bag, and our human mimic beacon even lived to tell the tale. So that's quite a successful outing. And very shortly after this, we have a retaliation mission. It goes fine, but instantly after that is a guerrilla op. I'm not sure if the dark event that reduces the time between Haven missions triggered or something, but we've got back-to-back missions way too quickly here. And the result is that half the squad is made up of tired soldiers. And if you're not sure why using tired soldiers in combat is a bad idea, well, let me show you the absolute Midnight Suns tier garbage that can go down when we use tired troops.
What's in my nothing? It's nothing! Get me out of here, please! No! 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 Please, no! Multiple hostiles advancing in our position.
Yeah, so just to recap what's happening here. Whistlepig gets mind controlled. This causes Salty to have to pass a will check or panic, which he thankfully does pass. But Darkhawk has the same will check and he fails. So he panics, and this causes Salty to have to make a second will check because now there's a panicked squad mate. And the second one, Salty also fails. So in their panic, Darkhawk decides to run, while Salty uses his Overwatch on Darkhawk. Honestly, this is like something out of a Three Stooges skit. And the thing about being tired is that these guys' will is lower than usual, so that makes failing the will check much more likely to occur. Also, as if this entire exchange wasn't bizarre enough already, afterwards the game randomly tells us that the device that we had to destroy is now gone. So we've somehow completed the mission objective by shooting at our own man, who was in the opposite direction to the device that we had to destroy. I honestly have no idea how that happened, but whatever. Now luckily Darkhawk is alive, but he only has 1 HP, and of course Task Manager misses an 80% shot on the Priest. Yeah, we can hit our own guys during Overwatch, but we can't hit the enemy right in front of our face. That truly is XCOM, baby. But despite all the shenanigans, we do win the mission, and we don't even lose any soldiers. So it could have been worse, but definitely an interesting mission, if nothing else. So then it's time for the Assassin's base, and I don't really know what to say here. I mean, the Warlock was always going to be the hardest to defeat because he had immunity to explosions. The Assassin has a weakness to explosions, so this isn't going to be much of a fight. And this is usually the part where I would cut to a music montage, and I normally go with some kind of rock music to keep up the energy, but why don't we mix things up today? Let's make it a little bit different. Here's some nice calming music while we blow the assassin sky high. And you know what? Let's throw the hunter in there for good measure too. So how was that? Maybe I could make a new genre of video, the Murdering Chosen ASMR genre. What do you think? I would just have to talk like this. No? Sounds like a demonic abomination of pure misery? Well, alright then, we'll stick with the challenge runs. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I think I've lost my mind. We better wrap this campaign up. After all, with the Chosen gone, there's really nothing keeping us from the endgame now. Not all the troops are brigadiers, but most of the brigadier perks aren't that great anyway, so I think colonels will be fine. Let's just do it. For the network tower, we're bringing Storyline with a war suit and shred cannon, Old Man with blue screen rounds and a wraith suit, and Whistlepig who has the team's one and only mimic beacon. Let's see how we go. I decide to kick things off with a chain shot on the Andromedon. It's only a 75% chance to hit, but if we can hit, that thing is toast and we're going to immediately have the advantage in the fight. But you've all been watching the video, you know exactly how this one is going to go. Yeah, big old miss, and now we have pretty much no way of dealing with that bulky boy this turn. Old Man, you've come a long way since I called you the VIP in that first mission, and that is not intended as a compliment. We try for Storyline Shredstorm Cannon, but he can't hit both enemies at once because, Well, because this is XCOM, I guess. Now, he can attack with his flashbang, and finally some good luck goes in our favour as we stun the Andromedon. That may have just saved these boys' lives. And the Codex is also disoriented. It does try shooting us, but it misses. And we now have another turn to take these guys down. At least that is until Storyline activates a Spectre and an Archon. Now, thanks to some grappling and a chain shot, we can wipe out both the Codex and the Andromedon. The Spectre clones Storyline as you would expect. An Old Man takes a big hit from the Archon. He's lost a lot of HP. Now, all of this in of itself is okay, but the bigger issue is that another pod activates, this time an Andromedon and a Viper. Now, as worried as I am about that Andromedon, and I am very worried about it, there's really nothing that we can do about it right now. Taking out the Spectre has to be the priority to remove the Storyline clone. So we do that, and with Storyline back, we flashbang the Viper and the Andromedon. I've spread the troops out as the Andromedon can still acid bomb us. I learnt that the hard way in a previous run. So Whistlepig takes a hit from the Archon and the Viper, so he does not have much health left. Now, thankfully, the Andromedon misses with its attack on Old Man. So then we move Old Man in to take on the Archon. It's an 85% shot, and if he misses this, you know what, I've done this bit way too many times already this video. Of course he's gonna miss. You know that, I know that. So we use our main beacon, but it goes down before the Viper has attacked, so Snack Lady then drops a poison spit on us. So not only are Old Man and Whistlepig now losing health every turn, their aim stat has been significantly lowered. And if Old Man couldn't hit the Archon normally, what hope does he have now? Well, let's find out. We try for a saturation fire that can hit both the Archon and the Andromedon. We line up the shot and... Honestly, I'm running out of jokes to make here. This run is just the worst. Now, thankfully, Storyline can finally finish the Archon, and Whistlepig is able to down the Viper. So it's just us and my arch enemy, the Andromedon. And here he comes. He takes aim at Whistlepig, and he takes our spiky-haired boy down. Whistlepig has been with us this entire run, and in his final mission before retirement, he gets taken out. That is rough. Now, a chain shot destroys the pilot of the Andromedon, so at least Whistlepig has been avenged. But with only Old Man left with an attack this turn, I don't see how we can inflict enough damage to eliminate the shell. I mean, that's assuming that Old Man can even hit the thing in the first place, which he's probably not going to be able to. But we are spared. The Andromedon decides to run away. So we push on, and Old Man is still losing health from the poison as we encounter this turret. Alright, Old Man, you've got to hit a 63% shot to finish this thing off. Here goes nothing. Well, he finally decided to hit something. Better late than never. So we cautiously make our way onto the roof of the building, and here, despite the damage that we've sustained, we secure the victory. Yeah, see, one of the intel bonuses we received was giving the entire squad run and gun, so Storyline can dash straight past the final pod and hack the objective. I really didn't think we were going to get through that one. I had my doubts, but we have pulled it off. So now it's time for the final mission. And normally by the time we arrive at this point in the game, things are pretty much a cakewalk, but spoiler alert, that's not going to be the case here. No, the nonsense is going to continue. Now, in terms of loadout, Mimic Beacon does have the Assassin shotgun by now, and you'll see Nemrus, Minix, Drifter, and Mimic Beacon all carrying blue screen rounds. I've focused on the gun abilities for all of them. I figure we're going to run out of grenades on this mission, so relying on grenades is a recipe for disaster. So we want to use guys who are good with the rifle. Now, the first thing we do is use Drifter's Ghost Grenade to give Leeson concealment. We then scout ahead with the pigtailed monster, and come the second pod, I'm already using a flashbang with glass cannon. I really want to hold off using consumables as much as possible, just so that we don't run out, but we have two Andromedons in full cover, and no real way to finish them this turn, so we need to use a flashbang. Now she's thankfully able to stun them, and this gives us plenty of time to move in and finish them off. Well, finish off one of them at least. The other one we can only get to second form, even with an entire second turn of attacking. So I could use a mean beacon here, but I'd really rather not. I'd rather save it for later, so instead we're going to go with a flashbang to score a disorientation. I then use a smoke grenade. Now between the disorientation and the defense buff we get from smoke, it's extremely unlikely that this Andromedon can hit us with a punch. But this is XCOM, baby, so anything can happen. The shell swings, and it misses. Wait, what? Okay, so it missed cannon with its fist, but it somehow landed several meters above its reach and destroyed the platform hanging from the ceiling. I gotta tell you, this run is just... it honestly makes me wish I was playing 5 Dates again. I mean, we've burnt through 3 consumables there, and we still took damage anyway. This is just nonsense. But whatever, nothing we can do about it, so let's just move on. Next we have this pod with Mutons and Andromedons. I throw down a Mimic Beacon and we should be fine. One of the Andromedons is in second form and it's too far away to be able to punch us, so it's just the Andromedon in first form and a single Muton. The beacon should be able to keep both of those guys at bay. Literally the only thing that can go wrong is if the Andromedon is able to somehow one-shot the beacon.
We've got one down here!
Well, alright then. Look, it's not the end of the world. We can survive a hit from the Muton. What can I say? This is literally perfect luck for Advent. The absolute best case scenario that the AI could have gotten. I mean, we've got Old Man who can't make an 85% shot to literally save his squad's life, but these guys can one-shot a Mimic Beacon and score a knockout on the same turn. I actually hate this run. This is awful. And you know what? In the comments of my original Grenadier-only run, someone was hypothesizing that the game has some sort of hidden code that actively sabotages Grenadiers. And honestly, the more of this game I play, the more I'm thinking they may be onto something. This is absurd. Now, there's no way for us to revive Nemris. A normal medikit won't do it. We'd need to use Revival Protocol or possibly a PSYOP with Solace. Now obviously we have neither of those things, so Nemris is out for the remainder of the mission. We're down to 5 soldiers. But you know what, this is one of those it is what it is scenarios, so we just have to push on. We get to the next pod and I throw down a mean beacon as once again we just cannot take these guys down quickly enough. Our Grenadiers just don't have the damage output that we need. And look, here, I'm just going to hand things off to Past Drifter live on stream, as I think he's going to be able to convey how I was feeling in this moment much better than I can now. We may survive here, y'all. What? You can't do that! There's a mean beacon! No! You cheating scumbag piece of garbage! Bro, we've lost Leeson's concealment, which means we kept him in concealment all that time for nothing. Oh, that's it, game. You are gonna die. You and everything you hold dear. It's over for you, game. You cheating piece of crap. Oh yeah, just ignore the mean beacon, because that's how they work. And then voila. 90% miss with the Leesonator. Thanks, bro. Love your work. Yeah, I was pretty salty. And the thing that annoyed me here the most wasn't that the cheating Archon scumbag ignored the Mimic Beacon. It's that we lost Leeson's concealment. Now, if the game actually worked correctly, there was no possible way that would have happened here. Leeson was safe. And we handicapped ourselves the whole battle by keeping him in concealment. If we had been able to use him against the earlier pods, Nemris very likely wouldn't have been knocked out. I was keeping Lee Sin in concealment to use against the first avatar, but now we've just gone through half the mission with one less soldier, and we've done it for nothing. Lee Sin's concealment is gone anyway. This was just absolute garbage. I was really mad about it. So we do have to burn through one more Mimic Beacon to get through the final pod, but honestly, that's the least of our problems. As we head into the final chamber, part of me was holding out hope that Nemrys would be returned to us, but no luck. We're gonna have to do the final chamber with only 5 soldiers. This is really, really bad. I don't think I've ever had to do that on one of these challenge runs. So as usual, when concealment isn't available, we begin the final battle with a blaster bomb. And it takes quite a few attacks, but we are able to finish the avatar this turn. We also wipe out the 2 Archons, so the area has been secured. But our positioning isn't great. So when the Vipers and Sectoids descend upon us, we could be in a bit of trouble. Now a single Viper and Sectoid are able to survive as the second avatar shows up, and he's got 2 Spectres with him. Their ability to instantly down a soldier by making a clone is really frightening here. The Viper binds Minix and the Sectoid mind controls Cannon. So that's what, 3 soldiers that we're down to now? Not looking good. Now Mimic Beacon attempts to save Minix. Her shot does miss, but because she has a stock, the Viper is history anyway, and Minix is free. That was super clutch. Meanwhile, Lee Sin eradicates the Sectoid with a grenade, so we have Cannon back as well. I opt to Frostbomb the Avatar and one of the Spectres. I'm hoping Cannon and Drifter can eliminate the second Spectre, and then we don't have to worry about any clones, at least not on the next turn. But thanks to a dodge, we don't inflict enough damage. The Spectre survives. And the Avatar, well, it doesn't stay frozen for its turn, it only loses 1 action point. And because it normally has 3 action points, it can still mind control Cannon again. Advent is really desperate to recruit this woman to their side. And of course, the Spectre clones Drifter. So we're back to 3 soldiers. Now meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Minix and Beacon get swarmed by 3 Faceless. I guess Mimic Beacon is having to take on her own kind here. So it's up to Lee Sin to save Drifter and keep the hope alive. And you'll see here, he has an 89% shot against the Spectre, and I don't even hesitate to choose the grenade instead. 89% with Lee Sin? Not in this lifetime. The guaranteed damage of the grenade is the much safer choice, and now Drifty Boy is back. And then I do something that could be slightly insane. I opt to ignore the 3 Faceless barreling down on Minix, and I instead use her blaster launcher to attack the Avatar. I was thinking it might teleport into Drifter's line of sight where he could use a chain shot and maybe finish it off, but instead it teleports away from Drifter and towards Minix. Now this happens very rarely that it teleports towards the person attacking it. I'm guessing it's because Minix attacked from beyond line of sight, so that made things go a bit wonky. I'm not sure. But anyway, Beacon has a 49% chance to hit this thing, and she does it for a whopping 17 damage critical hit. That was unbelievable. But as good as Beacon was there, the Avatar is still alive. Drifter is the only one who has any actions left, and he's nowhere close to this thing. So we're not taking it out this turn. And if we're not taking it out this turn, that means we're not getting Cannon back this turn either. So I decide Drifter's going to throw down a Mimic Beacon, and we're using it to protect ourselves from our own soldier. This is pretty messed up. Well, I mean her and the 2 Mutons that are with her. And not to mention, there is still another Spectre out there somewhere too. This is really, really bad. But it's about to get worse because here comes the final Avatar, and we now have 2 of them active at once. Now I'm not sure what the heck happened here, but the second Avatar forgoes an attack and it just runs around randomly. I was expecting a Null Lance on Beacon, but it didn't happen. I'm thinking maybe it's moving towards the actual Mimic Beacon that Drifter threw down, that's why it's not attacking. I'm not sure, but whatever the case, it works for us, we're gonna go with it. And speaking of the Beacon, it doesn't last very long, and Cannon takes a shot at Lee Sin. The hit connects, and Lee Sin takes big damage. Now meanwhile, those Faceless are coming for Minix. Now fortunately only one connects, and her ablative HP as well as her armor points means that she takes hardly any damage. So somehow we're all still alive, and Beacon moves in to finish off that second avatar. She obliterates it, and that means Cannon is free from mind control. So we are still in with a chance, however slight. So we move in with Minix and we take a shot at the final avatar. Now she connects, but this is where things start falling apart. See, the avatar teleports a fairly short distance away, certainly not far enough for Cannon, Drifter or Leeson to get over there to help. And just look at the enemies that Minix is surrounded by. 3 Faceless, 2 Priests, 2 Spectres, and the avatar itself, and they're all gonna get to attack on the next turn. So I don't think she's long for this world. The enemy turn begins with a gatekeeper spawning in. I've never seen that one before, at least not that I can remember. And so now, here comes the massacre of Minix. The Faceless move in, and the first one misses. The second hits with a critical, that's not good. And here comes Faceless number 3. It thankfully only does 1 damage, nice. And then it happens. The avatar delivers the mind control, and Minix is now part of Advent. Not to mention a priest mind controls Beacon as well, so we have completely lost that side of the chamber. And so I have to be honest with you here. I was incredibly happy when this happened. Yeah, you heard me right. I was happy. See, my biggest fear was a Spectre was going to clone Minix. If that had happened, there was absolutely no way we were getting her back. But a mind control, well, a mind control, that is incredibly easy to break. All we need is our final Frost Bomb from Glass Cannon here, and Minix is immediately back on board. So she's ready to go, she's got the chain shot lined up, and she takes the avatar down. Not only did she survive an attack from 8 enemies, she wins us the whole campaign. I apologise for bad-mouthing Minix earlier. This was the most epic display we've seen in one of these runs. Absolutely incredible. And I do have to quickly point this out. Look here, you can see Nemrus in the cutscene. The dude was sleeping on the job, but he wakes up just in time to share in the glory. I see how it is. So anyway, there you have it. We've beaten the campaign with only LW2 Grenadiers. We've barely beaten it, but we've beaten it all the same. Now, I know I made some bad plays at the end there. Not taking the time to level everyone up to Brigadier was a mistake. More Brigadiers would have given us multiple Ghost Grenades, which means we could have been more flexible with concealment. And this would have made keeping Nemrus in the fight much easier, I think. And I know we also got some rubbish game mechanics really doing us dirty as well. But even considering those things, I stand by my earlier statement that these guys are definitely worse than vanilla Grenadiers. Not having the cannon reduces their damage output, and your grenades end up weaker than they do in vanilla. And also keep in mind, in LW2 proper, I'm pretty sure these guys do not get access to Shred, at least not as a regular ability. So, honestly, they seem like quite a bad class when you take that into consideration. But hey, they made for a pretty interesting final mission, so it's all good. And I think that's gonna do it from me today. So if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, leaving a comment, and subscribing to the channel. Remember, if we make it to 50,000 subscribers, I'm gonna do a rookies only XCOM 2 run. But for now, that's all from me. So I'll see you later, and have a great day.
Sometimes I get so mad, there's no control in me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something